Welcome to Freaky Fauna Friday, where every Friday we take a little time and explore some of the freaks of nature from around the planet we cherish so deeply. So please, jump aboard and let's explore the wilds together. Welcome to Freaky Fauna Friday. I am the great and sick Mr. E.
And I'm Jay. And wow, it's Friday already?
Oh gosh, you sound horrible.
Yeah, we're both sick on this Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Or sick, we're not sick. We're just a little,
actively dying.
Well, no, we're going to keep this positive on Friday. We're both recovering.
Yeah. I don't think I've hit that stage yet. You may have hit that stage.
Oh, okay.
You sound better than 2 days ago.
Yeah, I can actually talk.
I've gotten worse over the last 2 days. I think I'm hitting my apex.
Yeah, I'm peaking your valleying. Maybe, is that the right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, there we go.
I think it's the opposite, actually, but...
No. It's all relative, though.
Mm-hmm. All right. We're going to talk about... Definitely, if you'd asked me as a kid, this is my favorite animal.
Okay.
As an adult, it's definitely in my top 10.
So it fell down the list as you've grown older.
It's definitely the highest ranked mammal.
Ooh.
Any guesses? Everybody at home already knows.
A dog.
Manatees.
Oh.
Manatees.
Manatees, all right.
Yeah, we're going to talk about manatees today.
All right.
Which these are weird. Manatees are weird in a bunch of ways. Manatees are a small genus of rather strange-looking, round, floating vegetarians that like to bounce in shallows of the tropics.
All right.
I mean, I just seen that little paragraph somebody describing manatees, and I'm like, that's apt.
That sounds fitting.
So some people mistakenly call manatees sea cows. That's not manatees. That's their cousin, the dugongs.
Oh, okay. I've heard that term before.
Yeah. Yeah, sea cows, dugons. So dugons have a fluke tail like a whale.
Okay.
And manatees have a big round tail almost like a beaver.
Oh, okay.
Manatees and dugons behave extremely different. And it's pretty much their environments they prefer. Dugons are mostly open ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Manatees are most of the time shallow, coastal, brackish, and even sometimes freshwater.
Okay.
So the predators are different and all that kind of stuff. Dugons are not the soft, gentle creatures manatees are.
Okay.
They're not like many other animals around today. They share unusual lineage and have some really bizarre relationships.
Let's get into it.
So their habitat, like I already said, shallow coastal regions, rivers in the tropics. These guys do end up in weird places, which we'll talk about. But pretty much they like shallow stuff. And shallow is relative, like 30 feet and less.
Okay.
Is most of the time. But you're going to find them anywhere from several feet of water where their backs are exposed. Just 10 feet of water.
Okay.
It's kind of like what they like. They are found in West Africa, the Amazon, Mexico, and the Caribbean, as well as the southern United States.
Is that it? I mean, they're not in like India or nothing like that.
So that'd be the West African. There's a West African manatee. I don't know if the Indian manatee is still around fully. Because like the Indian River dolphins, I think, are pretty much extinct.
Okay.
And I think their manatees may have shared a similar fate. They can live up to around 65 years old.
Oh, that's pretty long.
Some of them even hit 80.
That's good.
How big do you think a manatee can get? How big do you think a big adult is?
Like length?
Yeah.
I don't know, like 8 to 10 feet.
15 to 16 feet.
Oh, okay. Bigger than I thought.
People do not realize how big manatees get.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
And how much do you think they weigh? So think of last week's contender. Do you remember the average weight of a hippo?
Oh, gosh. Wasn't it like 2 tons? 3,500
pounds, yeah. So 2 tons. Right around there.
Okay, so...
that was the average adult weight.
Right, yeah.
You know, there's always those exceptional examples.
These guys, I'm going to say a little bit less, maybe.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, 2,500 pounds.
2,500 pounds is a good guess. 4,000 pounds.
2 tons, okay.
These guys weigh 2 tons on average as a big adults.
Okay.
With some exceptional animals. Now, a lot of the ones you're seeing today, because we'll talk about their population problems, are younger adults.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have as many of these actual giants as the species usually produces. Most time, their color, they're gray. Most time they're green is when they're covered in algae. Their diet is plants, seagrasses, fresh and saltwater plants, and even algae.
Geese.
Predators, very, very few animals ever mess with manatees. The number one predator would be crocodiles on young manatees. So Florida does have crocodiles. Mexico does have crocodilians and stuff like that, and so does West Africa. So where manatees occur, crocodiles will prey upon young manatees. Adult manatees are pretty much immune, just due to size.
Too big to bother.
Too big to bother.
What I like to say.
And then every once in a while, dolphins will beat a manatee to death.
Okay. Why?
They just like doing it.
Oh, man. It's one of the rogue mean dolphins?
No, so I actually witnessed this phenomenon.
Really?
Yeah, we were on the handicap fishing pier in Florida, and the whole pier started shaking.
Yeah.
There was a manatee forcing its way in the middle of the pier, underneath.
Yeah.
Hiding from this pod of dolphins that were beating it.
Jeez.
And it just stayed on there for like 2 hours until the dolphins got bored and left.
Dolphins can be like the nicest, coolest creatures.
Dolphins have a wide variety of behaviors.
Just like humans.
Top speed, 15 miles per hour.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot faster than you think.
Yeah, for something that big.
Mm-hmm. Number of species, there's 3. And they are vulnerable to endangered depending on which animal species you're talking about. There's no manatees or dugongs doing great.
No, yeah.
Manatees are a group of 3 species of sirenian, growing quite large and peaceful grazers of the shallows of Africa, Central America, and the Caribbean deltas, which includes southern North America.
Right, yeah.
The 3 living species of manatee are the Amazonian manatee, the West Indian manatee, and the West African manatee. Manatees are generally solitary animals, although mothers will nurse their young for much time. They like to diet on over 60 different types of plants, seagrass, and algae on the ocean floor. They eat around 10% of their body weight a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
So if you have a 4,000-pound manatee,
400 pounds?
400 pounds of plants.
Wow.
Every day. Manatees are the ocean's largest herbivore, measuring anywhere from 15 feet and 4,000 pounds, with some exceptional adults being much larger than that. They are slow-moving creatures and spend about 50% of their time submerged asleep. They surface every 3 to 5 minutes to breathe, but they've been witnessed to hold their breath up to 20 minutes, and some scientists believe it could be 30 or 40 in desperate situations. They are often confused with their cousins dugongs, the only remaining species of sea cow, but they are a completely different genus. They're not very closely related. They have coarse whiskers and stubby tails and are pretty smart.
Okay.
While manatees have no natural predators in the wild as adults, all 3 species of manatees are listed as vulnerable or endangered to extinction due to the threats of both habitat destruction and ship strikes from humans. There is no adult manatee in Florida, and this is something I heard a while ago. There's no adult manatee in Florida that has been recorded. It does not have a scar from a boat.
Oh, wow. That's pretty sad.
And it's because people don't pay attention. There's a bunch of signs where the manatees hang out.
Yeah.
All right, ready for your fun facts.
The freaky facts?
Sailors found them very cute.
Okay.
The order Sirenian, which
that's your first fact?
Both manatees and dugongs, is named after the Greek legend of the sirens. Literally Sirenian. The sirens, mermaids, which are the group of mean monsters who lured sailors under the rocks with their enchanting songs. It is thought that the mermaid legends come from similar roots, and manatees and dugongs have been the inspiration for half fish, half woman creatures, reported by lonely sailors. This may suggest why they become cute when spend long times at sea.
Okay.
So when the sailors, they really liked manatees.
Yeah, I guess so.
The manatees were pretty friendly.
Is those the ones that they'll roll over or I'm thinking of seals, like kind of pat their bellies and they're floating
Manatees
by?
don't do that. Manatees will hug you.
That's right. They'll do that, yeah.
My aunt was hugged.
Yeah, you told us that story, yep.
They use farts for flotation, is my next fact.
Wow, okay.
Manatees are mammals, so unlike most bony fish, they don't have a swim bladder.
Okay.
And unlike sharks, they don't have a fatty liver or cartilaginous bones. They help them be buoyant. All these adaptations in other animals tend to function for buoyancy regulations, helping the animal move up and down in the water column. Still, manatees have a clever way of regulating how they float. It's their farts. When they want to float, they hold their farts in. When they want to sink, they let the farts go. There's somewhat of a dubious claim that has been confirmed in a journalist post, along with a note of comparison. The sort of float around aimlessly like a fart balloons have been passed needing laxatives to restore buoyancy control.
Wow.
So manatees sometimes get constipated and they can't go back down.
Yeah, they're stuck floating because they can't fart.
Happens.
I believe it.
All right. Now, their relatives, their relationships with other animals is a weird one. Manatees are one of these animals that really throws a wrench into some of the conventional thinking of the tree of life.
Okay.
So genetically, I'm going to talk about their two closest relations.
Okay.
Besides the dugong, which is, we're going to talk about Hyrexes.
Hyrex?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
It's like a little tusked rat or guinea pig. It's not a rodent. It just looks like a rodent.
Okay. It's on the land?
Yeah.
Okay.
They scream.
A Hyrex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Manatees are a weird clade of mammals. The ping annulates that include a small African animal, much like a rodent, called a hyrex. There aren't many other animals in this clade. It's kind of like a junk drawer.
Okay.
I don't fully agree with this clade because, I think it's just where people throw things where they don't fit into other things.
Okay.
Old ancient mammals.
Right, yeah. They just fit them. They don't fit here, or there. Well,
Yeah.
let's just put them in this box.
Which we'll talk about another pangolate, or how do you say it? So that's the first one is Hyrexes. They're
Okay.
conventionally thought to be closely related to them, which is basically a large guinea pig with tusk
Interesting.
that lives in the ground and burrows.
Yeah, it does not make me think manatee at all.
The next one is elephants, are
Oh, wow.
also in this group of misfits.
Okay.
So both elephants and mammoths somehow survived their mass extinction events. The other animals in this clade were all wiped out. Hyrex and elephants also have fingernails. They even have prehensile lips. So the elephant's is much more extended.
Is that its nose?
Yeah.
Proboscis?
Yes. It's a mix of its nose and its upper lip.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But Hyrexes also have a little, their lip is highly adept at moving stuff around.
Mm-hmm.
And manatees have one as well.
Okay.
So they use their lips as basically hands.
Okay.
The elephant is just the most exaggerated
Right.
one of that.
I just seen a video just of an elephant where it was standing by a guy or like a tourist or something. They was taking pictures with him, and the elephant reached over with his trunk, grabbed its hat, and shoved it in its mouth, just playing with the guy. And the guy's like, "Oh, where's my hat?" And then the elephant pulls it back out and puts it right back on its head. I mean, it shows the intelligence and the dexterity.
Which would lead to my next one. They're not quite dugongs. Oh, I guess two away. I have two away
Okay.
for that. Sorry, I'm very sick.
It's all good.
So a lot of people, like I already said earlier, use sea cows and dugongs interchangeably. The fact is, manatees, sea cows, and dugongs are different animals. They do look a lot alike when they're somewhat related, but manatees are from the genus Treacherous, and the dugongs are from a different genus. Their behaviors are completely different. And if you really look at what if you compare them together,
Mm-hmm.
they really look very different.
Mm-hmm.
They do kind of look similar, but they also look very different.
Right, yeah.
All right, next one. Manatees are as smart as
Elephants.
dolphins.
Oh, okay. It's still pretty good.
Manatees have a very low body size to brain ratio, which is typically considered a sign of dumb animals, but there are exceptions. Manatees might have grown large to maintain their body temperatures more efficiently in the changing waters. It does appear they are good at problem solving, as dolphins are in conventional tests of intelligence.
Mm.
They score the same as dolphins.
Yeah, that's
It's worth
impressive.
pointing out that intelligence is a bit of a dirty word in behavioral science, since it's impossible to qualify or quantify their loads and ways in which an organism can be intelligent from each other.
Right.
Still, it's becoming apparent that manatees aren't these mindless cow grass-eating machines. They have complex social structures, and they're capable of higher emotions.
Yeah, I guess you don't really think about that. You just do think of them as like kind of big,
Dumb
dumb
cows.
floating cows. Yeah.
And they're not. They are very intelligent. They're just
Yeah.
solitary. But before I move on to my next one, I just want to say that the brain to body mass ratio is something I firmly believe, and several other scientists, including Neil deGrasse Tyson, had talked about this, that was made up for humans to still feel superior in some of the behavioral sciences. Because when we started finally looking at intelligence in other animals, we weren't on top anymore.
Yeah.
So they made up. Well, we have the biggest brain to body mass ratio. Even though an orca's brain's the size of your chest,
Right, yeah.
their bodies are huge. They need all that brain to move their bodies around. And it's not quite that cut and dry. And that's kind of what they're talking about with manatees.
Okay.
So even though manatees have a very low brain to body mass ratio,
It breaks that rule.
they are one of the fundamental breakers of that rule. When dolphins have roughly the same size brain as a manatee and get just as long, but weigh probably about 1/5
of the size. Yeah. Okay.
And it's herbivores. Herbivores, especially mammals in water, we lose heat extremely fast.
So they need that mass.
Yeah, so you need a high density blubber, or you need to be a big rotund animal, and they're also herbivores. So they need to ruminate that food inside their stomach. So that also makes a big, like basically a big pot in their stomach.
400 pounds of sea lettuce.
It's a lot. Okay, next one, and this one may surprise you. They can talk.
No, sorry, I got surprised.
They squeaks and squalls are commonly heard from manatees, and they sometimes chirp and grunt. The communications often throughout a range of vocalizations. They call are structurally complex, which means they're adjacent depending on context and contain context-dependent information, aka language. Do you understand what I just said?
So yeah, they have their own language, or
they have
their own
context-dependent words.
So it's a very structured language, or very in depth.
So the word changes, like bat for English.
Yeah,
bat is an animal. Bat is a wooden bat. It changes depending on the context of the sentence. We have identified words that they have for that.
Wow.
Not for bat, but for
no
context derivative.
Yes,
which is crazy.
It is.
It's only ever seen cetaceans.
Wow.
And primates, and probably I don't know if anybody's really dived that deep into elephants, but I'm going to assume that pachyderms also have that ability. I
would assume they did.
Their language is very hard because it's just like whales, it's above and below human hearing.
Yeah.
It is also in the infrasonic and the ultrasonic range.
So a lot we're not taking into account.
It's hard for a human brain to rationalize. Here's another one for you. Did you know manatees can walk?
No, I did not know that.
The cool thing about being fat underwater is you don't have to carry all that weight around. Manatees, despite being blubbery torpedoes, can walk along the seabed gracefully on their tiptoes.
That's pretty neat.
They can also drag themselves onto land a little bit. There are some depictions of manatees like being on the beach, like they drag themselves up there on purpose. And we don't know, it has not been seen very often in modern times, whether that's for food, whether that's for escaping predators, maybe a killer whale or dolphins bothering them or something like that. So they drag themselves up a little bit because they know they could drag themselves back.
Maybe they just wanted some sun.
And it could be that too. But they walk along the bottom, essentially. They just use their little hands.
Like hippos.
Yeah. But these guys can actually swim.
Right.
Manatees continuously replace their teeth.
Oh, okay.
And we've talked about this on our Cryptids of Corn.
Yeah, this is what I thought.
They have sliding teeth in their jaws.
This was the only freaky fact I knew about them before.
Yeah. So most mammals, it's really weird. Most mammals have baby teeth and adult teeth. You lose an adult tooth, it won't grow back. However, manatees, like elephants and some other ancient mammals, continuously replace their teeth their whole life. So generally speaking, most mammals only have 2 sets of teeth in their life. There's just a couple breaks of that rule.
Yeah.
And it seems to pretty much be, that's kind of why they lump all these old style mammals into that category. I don't know if it's genetically as true as they want it to be, but they have some of these old characteristics.
Okay.
So constantly replacing teeth.
Okay.
But their teeth actually slide into place and lock. Manatee come from a Caribbean word. The manatee, the name, comes from manti, a Caribbean word meaning breast or udder, referring to the breast the female manatees have.
Right. Oh, okay.
So essentially, the word manatee kind of means boob.
Big boob.
And they have 2 of them.
Wow.
So some not great facts is they are at a high risk of species collapsal.
Yeah, they're in the red.
Every manatee.
They're in the red, aren't they?
Yeah.
Red listed.
And right now, a huge problem besides the plastics and the boat strikes we'll talk about, its genetic diversity is extremely low.
The gene pool's shallow.
Genetic diversity is very important for populations for conservation, especially in mammals. often depicted as both males and female animals of population. There simply aren't enough genes that are spread out in a variable way. This means that individuals are too closely related and create healthy offspring, and negative or deformity mutations in the DNA in the offspring are appearing more and more often. This makes genetic diversity a critical factor to preserving the species, which such variable population numbers over the course of the years. The random events such as disease and oil spills affect their demographic. Manatees may be at risk of becoming unviable in most of their population.
So basically, their time is ticking unless
something's got to change fast.
Major, yeah.
The next one is, these aren't good ones, just so you know.
Yeah.
Manatees ingest a lot of plastic.
Yeah, a lot of things in the ocean do.
Manatees, unfortunately, suffer from a lot of plastic indigestion. They have died on numerous occasions from being too stuck up with plastics. Plastic waste in the ocean and in the rivers is a real killer for innumerable amounts of species, and manatees seem to suffer from it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's sad.
Next one. They are often hurt by props and boat propellers.
That's where all the scars are coming from.
Yeah, that's how they ID them.
Oh,
that's how they tell individuals, is from the scar patterns.
Jeez.
Because every manatee besides newborns has it.
Yeah.
Again, a sad one. The slow-moving, gentle, curious creatures are regularly get minced up by boats that pass over them. Propeller scars are common along their backs, and intersections can also be fatal for these guys. It is about 25% of recorded manatee deaths in Florida are direct boat collisions. And about another 25% is from infections from those boat collisions.
Wow. Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, it's not good.
No,
and
it's not.
There's huge areas where they do speed signs. And I've been in Florida in a boat, and all these areas with a lot of manatees. Never hit a manatee. I've been right next to manatees in boats. And there's people that fly through these areas.
Don't even care.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen it, that video where it's like a guy in a kayak and he gets too close.
Sorry.
Well, I guess since we're on the episode of manatees,
yeah, go ahead.
That's what they are. But he gets close to one.
And they explode.
Yeah, they like do that tail flip thing. And then it set off like a chain reaction. When one did it,
yeah,
they all did it.
They panicked.
And it turns out he was around. The water looked calm, like there was nothing even in it. And then there's 5 seconds later, there's 50 manatees all going nuts. And it looks like fake. It looks like something out of like Stranger Things. Like a ghost is throwing water around everywhere.
Nope, it's manatees.
Yeah.
Manatee.
Ain't it nuts? It's like the most gentlest animal, but it looks like a freaky.
You should not touch a manatee. It is against federal law.
Mm-hmm. But they can touch you.
But they can touch you. And I've witnessed, so like I said, my aunt got hugged. She did not hug it back. But because there were people yelling at her.
Right, yeah.
People, don't touch it. She's like, it's touching me.
Yeah.
It's a 4,000-pound animal. I'm going to do whatever it's. But no, in all seriousness, they are extremely curious, extremely gentle. I've had them blow water at us when we were fishing. I've had them come up and like touch boards in the boats and stuff like that and tap on them. And they'll do, because they have fingernails. So they'll tap on their like the sides of the boats to get your attention and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
I've seen paddleboarders get terrified of them.
Yeah.
Because they'll come up and grab the paddleboard, and you just see these giant hands come up and grab them. And it's just, I seen a big old bull playing with one at Blue Springs with a bunch of kids. And these kids would get on this log, and this big manatee would flip the log up with his head.
That's awesome.
Send the kids flying, and the kids would climb back up on the log, and he'd flip it up again.
What a smart animal.
They're incredibly intelligent. They're just very peaceful. They're very slow going.
We need to protect them.
Yeah, I mean, they're seriously vulnerable. It's just crazy to me that most time cute animals get a lot more protection. The manatees have a lot of protection, but industrialization is a huge factor.
Mm-hmm.
Habitat loss, wintering spots are very hard. Like Blue Springs State Park is probably one of the number one spots for manatees winter in Florida.
Okay.
Where it's like 500 or 600 of them a day are there in the winter. Because they do not handle the cold very well. So the ocean gets colder in the winter. So they go to the springs that have the same temperature around.
Yeah.
But when you're there in the summer, the springs feel very cold. But when you're there in the winter, the springs are still 75 degrees or whatever they are.
Right, yeah, so they feel hot.
Yeah. So protect manatees. There's all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of organizations working very hard. Manatees get stuck places because they're very curious. They'll follow boats into places they shouldn't. They'll follow people into places they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to give them food and water,
but there's a whole Florida culture that gives them food and water.
It's hard not to.
Yeah, so there's because they need fresh water.
Yep.
They have to drink fresh water, which is very weird for a marine mammal.
Right, yeah.
So people will hang their garden hoses in and just always leave them trickle.
Oh, okay.
And which you should not do. It's illegal.
Oh.
But then you just hear, and you go out and there's just a manatee that's sucking on the hose, getting the water out of it.
That's nice of them.
And there's one old lady I've watched videos of. She just buys all the heads of lettuce and just dumps them into the water.
Really? Oh, well.
Here you go, you big cow.
Right, basically, yeah.
Shouldn't pet them. They want to be petted, though.
Right, yeah. Yeah, don't touch manatees, but protect manatees.
Yep.
Have them in your thoughts.
Seriously, as far as mammals, they're super rare. Because I've looked this up before. Maybe I'll look it up again. I don't think there's ever been a recorded death by manatee.
I'm willing to say no, unless
I'm going to look it up.
Unless it's an extreme accident.
Dugongs drown people on purpose.
Ooh.
Dugongs are not manatees.
We seen manatees at I'm trying to think what zoo, a big aquarium it was at.
Toledo. Or not Toledo, Columbus.
Was it Columbus?
Yeah.
There's like 3 of them in a tank. That was pretty neat. They come right up to the glass and check you out. And those ones you can't touch, right?
No.
The top's not open?
No.
Okay.
I think both Columbus and Cincinnati has manatees.
Okay. Yeah, they are. They're neat animals. I really like them a lot.
No. There has never been a recorded instance of a manatee intentionally or actively killing a human.
Even in captivity.
That was just...
Even better than orcas.
Well, I mean, orcas are put in a jail cell and tortured.
No, I know. I mean, orcas, people think they can be these killer animals, but...
They've never killed somebody in the wild.
Ever. Never. Not once.
And they've had plenty of opportunity. And they eat things all your size.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I have been the great and sick Mr. E.
And I've been Jay.
We'll catch you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Freaky Fauna Friday. If you want to help the podcast grow, remember to share and give it a 5-star review.